Look there, the old woman said in a sneery voice. The dirty long-haired student again, reading his stupid book and doing nothing productive. How disgusting! Half a year later, she sees him again. Good morning, Herr Doctor. I hope you feel well, Herr Doctor. May I come later to you, Herr Doctor? I have a problem and I'm sure you can help me, Herr Doctor. Oh, thanks, Herr Doctor. Oh, so kind of you, Herr Doctor. Perhaps it's different somewhere else in the world, but over here having a title of some kind is very important. We have a larger set of titles inherited from the monarchy. The Austrians love their titles. Most of them mean absolutely nothing, but others in fact do. The thing is, the dirty student and the Herr Doctor did very well know more or less the same stuff, but in the eyes of some, like this old woman, this knowledge has only then value in the moment you hold some kind of paper in your hands with some kind of state stamp on it that says, yeah, this guy has a clue about something. I had the same problem in my very family. I had a discussion with my mother and it was right on of my turf in technology. But she insisted she knows better because her source was a guy that repairs television sets all day long and I'm just a student, so she's right because the guy is right because he knows his stuff. About 2 years later, I had a paper that stated that I'm more qualified than the guy repairing a TV set. And again, this was just on paper, I had no experience in the field. But then she accepted my interpretation without further asking, which is kind of strange, isn't it? And it's the same over here on YouTube and the internet as a whole. I had a lot of discussion where my counterpart tells me, no, your source can't be right because it's YouTube or some other part of the internet. And right is only that what stands black on white on paper. And when I take then old books from my shelf, tossing them on the table and say, here stands black and white a lot of stuff that we know is wrong, what about that? They argue that of course the stuff that is newer is of course better and this old stuff is, ignore that. In the time they are saying that, I already googled the newest book of the Flat Earth Society. I mean, yes, right, I'm just a bloke on the internet telling you stuff, and I say to you guys, I could be wrong about that, and in some cases I really would love to be wrong and proven wrong. But it doesn't count for them, because I'm not writing articles on paper. In a parallel universe where my narrative is the dominant one, and I'm the one who writes articles in papers, and this would be kind of a strange world, but anyways. What I would say there would be accepted by them without a second of doubt. By, again, these very people who won't accept my view right now because it's not printed on paper. People love authority and the left loves it even more. The left has strong ties to the idea that the government can say who is right and who is wrong, who is qualified and who is not. The reason the old woman looked down to the student and looked up to the Herr Doctor, even if it is more or less the same person with the same set of skills and the same knowledge and perhaps even the same behavior. The left has a paper fetish. That's the only explanation, and this is a big problem because you just have to control what is printed on paper to control these persons. There's a reason why the freedom of the press is always an issue because it's not guaranteed, not at all. Most newspapers call themselves something independent, but none of them is really independent. They depend on their customers, their ads, the government, and so on and so on. I'm independent because I do this stuff as a hobby. If some euros trickle in, I'm happy. I mean, we're living in a capitalistic system after all, and money is a form of appreciation in our culture. Be sure that I'm very grateful for the 2 packs of peanuts I earned so far. And if you have seen my videos about my beef with bigger YouTubers, you know that I believe that staying independent is only doable if you stand with more than one foot in the real economy, with a reliable source of income. Everything else will corrupt you. The problem with full-time writers is that they know really how to write, but often not a lot about the stuff they write about. And that's the thing, I'm interested in the stuff, not really in nice narration with eloquent words that sound very important. I want to understand the stuff, and I want to get keywords to find connections to other topics. But again, the fetish for paper of the left is very strong. I gave some friends articles to read, and they say then, what is these articles? They are so long, and there are a lot of links to other absurd long articles, and it's also complicated. No shit, Sherlock. The world is complicated then. Does this come as a shock to you? And indeed, for most of the time, it really comes as a shock. They live in a world where everything can be explained in kind of short stories under 1000 typing letters. An introduction, a main part, and some kind of clear conclusio. Case closed, go over to the next topic, repeat. Confronting them with the complexity of reality and the fact that all good articles have an open end, with no clear conclusion, because everything could change overnight, and it often does. It is a terrible situation for them. They have to know the ending. They have to know that what they want to believe, what they have to believe. They have to know what is good. They have to know what is bad. They have to know in which team they have to be the good ones. They have to know because they are too lazy to think for themselves. If you argue with them, they argue in quotes. I really had a discussion with a Social Democracy Party soldier, and every reply of him, each and every one, was a quote. Everything, every single one. There was no original thought from him personally. Paper. They love the written and printed word. That's the reason I say that's a cult. If we would live, say, 300 years in the past, these people who are forming the radical left right now would have been militant Christian over here, running around and slapping everybody with their thick book. It's written. Be skeptic. Paper can hold as many lies as every other medium and as many mistakes too. And since it is way more expensive to produce paper than, let's say, a YouTube video, the likelihood that the paper is more dependent than those guys who record stuff in their hobby rooms is a logical consequence of the money needed to produce the stuff in the first place. Because you have to make money to get your costs back. If you have no costs, you don't need to get money. Those guys who believe only in the written word are trapped in the same kind of thinking like religious folk. Show them, at least those who are able to think for themselves, and of course that's a minority, I know. But anyways, show them that thinking for themselves is a great adventure, and they will leave the written word behind and start speaking for themselves.